I don't even know how to describe this. I can bet money that half of you are going to be going to the download page after hearing this. Kind of like the holy grail of resonance. I don't even know what hardware synths I have in the room that have this character of resonance. Listen to that, it's just beautiful. Even up high. It's just amazing. Hello, welcome to a new plugin guru video. My name is John, Skippy Limcool. Welcome. Hey, it is my pleasure to get to introduce you to a new synthesizer. So this is the Brainworx Knifonium. Now 6 months, actually shoot, I've never heard of this synthesizer till about 7 months ago in January at the NAMM show. Told about this, very excited about it. I did some research. It's a really cool, unique, real hardware instrument you can go out and buy. You go to the website right here and check this out. knifaudio.com is where you will find out about the Knifonium and other products. Jonte Knif, he makes compressors, EQ, all sorts of mastering hardware that is very expensive, best in class for the circuitry, the build, and probably the biggest thing is it all has character. So Knifonium, it is 26 tube monophonic synthesizer. If you want to order one, you can. There's contact information here. It is $15,999. There's a 2-year wait. So you can do that. I love this quote right here. I like to see this synthesizer as a musical instrument in a very traditional sense. Knifonium is not just to make a weird noise or look, it has tubes or I have thus proved that I'm crazy. Piece of assorted equipment parts, although I do approve of these points of view too. It is my dream. It is my tour de force. It is an object that brings together many aspects of my professional past in early music, instrument making, and as tube equipment manufacturer. And it sounds like nothing else. And that, my friends, is true with this whole plugin. There's nothing else you can compare it to that has the sounds I'm going to be showing you. This is a pad. You just don't know what it's going to do. It has this unpredictable quality to it. It's wonderful. Let's do this. Let me give you a tour of the interface. So here's our default patch. I want to point out one quick tip. If you want to have a default patch you can easily call up to start from programming from scratch, scroll down the list here on the patch browser page. This is the same patch browser that's been put into their other Brainworx synthesizers. And you'll see default. Click it and then click the little thumbs up. And what happens when you do that is when you click here for the patches to scroll and see them, under favorites, you can now see default. This lets you get back to an init patch anytime you need it. And just for full disclosures, just so you know, I was hired by Brainworx to work on this synth. This is the third synth that I've worked with them on. Start with Oberhausen. I worked with them on Lion for unfiltered audio and on Knifonium. And I help with the development as they're developing it. I'm finding things that are not quite right and advising them. I made 50 patches. I do audio demos that are on the website for showing this, and I make this video. They're super cool to work with. They let me show my own plugin Unify in this video, which is a huge debt of gratitude to them. Plugin Alliance are really cool guys. They have a cool subscription plan. Those use the subscription plan, I think this shows up in your box, which is just crazy. But they have a great system, and so I thank them for letting me be a part of this because it's fun to push these synthesizers and find out what they can do, and I really am happy with what I was able to come up with for this synth. So with that said, let's dive into the parameters that we have to play with. What do we have to play with to make sounds? And then after this, I'm going to play you some more of the sounds that come with this, and then I'm going to show you, we've made our own special library of Knifonium's factory patches for Unify. And there's some crazy benefits for doing that. And I'll show you all about that at the end of this video, okay? So please stay around for that if you would like. The layout is pretty standard for a 2-oscillator synth. This is modeled again after physical hardware. There were a number of times I would contact the guys and say, hey, I wish there was this. I wish I could do that. And they'd be like, oh, well, the hardware doesn't do that, so we can't do that. They wanted to nail this to how a real Knifonium works. And so I respect them for that. This quirky synth in the end that has all these weird capabilities, and it can't do everything, and it's not perfect, not by a long shot, but it has soul and character that's super, super, super cool. So this interface, you don't see some of the things that you standard normally would see in a synth, right? There's no modulation, source and destinations, and a whole bunch of like menus, driving, or anything like that. No. Instead, what you have is you have VCO1 and VCO2 for your 2 oscillators. Here's your mixer section for controlling those levels. If you want pitch modulation, you have 4 choices right here for what you want to modulate and the amount. So I could say LFO. By the way, the LFOs can scream like a banshee. There's symmetry for the shapes, so you can get to pulse shapes and all sorts of cool shapes beyond the 3 waveform shapes that you see here, which is really cool. If you want to do sync and so forth, you have a switch right here, and you can assign it to the envelope, and off you go into fun sync synthesis land. There's FM mod, which does some really, really cool things for all sorts of synth sounds that have all sorts of cool motion that changes up and down the keyboard. Really, really, really cool. The thing that's really cool with this synth is how carefully they modeled the way the sound reacts and works. And I'll give you a demonstration real quick. Here's the filter. That resonance is incredible. Now listen to this resonance as I change the VCO volume for just 1 oscillator. And when I bring up oscillator 2, hear that? Bring these down to like 4 in volume, and it's a whole different reaction because the level hitting the filter that's being calculated changes. And so you hear that actual calculated reaction. That's why it costs a few more CPU cycles, is because it's checking all sorts of other things in the sound and reacting to that. So if you use this and then you combine ring mod, then feedback on the filter. You can get into some crazy, crazy sounds. So yes, it can do. It's not supposed to do just weird sounds, but if you want to do weird sounds, because you have FM, ring mod, feedback, master volume that are all interacting in real time based on the volume of the other components, my goodness, you can get some really, really cool sounds. And so that's what makes this really unique. That's what's really fun to play with. Let's go back to default. There's a really cool sample and hold component. If you go over here, let's say, bring up resonance, and we'll bring up external 1, full intensity. We want the LFO to trigger the filter. And there we go, we got sample and hold. Pretty cool. And if you want, Instead of LFO, you can say keyboard gate, which means each time you play a note, right? So that's pretty cool. Be aware of that. It's fun to play with. Now in the effects section, there's some cool sounds that can be made by adding these to the sounds that you program inside of the actual synth. One of the cool ones is Wavefolder. It can do this really cool distortion, and then it has a resonant low-pass filter. Be aware that the synth section is not connected in any way to the actual synth. You can't modulate these parameters that you see for the synth effects with the LFO or the envelopes. They're not connected. There's a couple solutions. Number one, automation in your DAW. Number two, you can click this little MIDI learn button, and you can click any parameter, say learn it, and play something on a controller, and now it's routed to that. The third option is to use our plugin Unify. This is a plugin. There's other plugins that do hosting as well, so we're not the only ones. But if you go right here to the link parameters, we can see within our plugin all the parameters of Knifonium. So we can edit that wave frequency like this, and now go here and change this parameter. We can hear it in real time. And if I was to have an auxiliary bus with a really cool, from the patches, let's say something that's like this, I could also go over here and say modulate the auxiliary send of that. So that way I could say, so it's changing auxiliary bus send, and it's changing parameters inside of Knifonium. Unify can change parameters in any synthesizer you load into it. It's super cool. We've made a Knifonium library of all of the factory patches of Knifonium. Plus I've made 15 bonus patches that are a free download. There's a link in the description of this video. You can go to the pluginguru.com website for more information. And I'll give you a demo of some of this stuff after we're done here playing with those are your options for real-time control. Now, I want to show you the arpeggiator, and we want to program over here. Here's our voices of polyphony. Let's say we want 4 voices of polyphony. We don't want unison. So we can turn on the arp. Let's go like this, like this. Okay. Now you can control the direction of the arpeggiator. You can have it include octaves, and it can skip octaves too, which is pretty cool. You can hit hold, and it'll keep going. I believe even that parameter is available inside of Unify to modulate, so you could be doing stuff like that and automating it. You've got clock. This is a really cool handy. I told you a minute ago about this panning. It's dividing it into 16 timing events across the stereo field. Panning left and right. Random. Okay, so that's another place to get stereo imaging. Lots of options here to play with. At this point, let me play through some patches for you, give you a tour of what it can sonically do. Okay, Unify is set up, so I have 8 real-time controls. This is one I should point out. One of the unique things that they modeled from Knifonium is the way that triggers the notes. Check this out. When I'm playing and I play a high note, it's re-triggering the envelope, so I get all the brightness again, but it's also re-triggering the pitch. However, if I play a note and play below that note, it only re-triggers the envelopes, things that are in the engine but not pitch. So you can do double. It's very unique. I haven't seen this in other synthesizers before, so it's high note until you get below the note, and then it's just triggering the note itself. So that's pretty cool. Using Aptitouch. Pretty cool. One unique thing inside of Knifonium is the noise. There's 3 different colors, including one super rare. I don't see very often. Here's white noise, pink, and red. It has a lot of additional low frequency content. It's super cool. This is using a really snappy resonant filter. Actually, it's almost all resonance without it. I live by this C. This is a cool one. You know, half of the time making patches is also testing out parameters. And so this one here, keyboard is off for this first VCO and it's set to C. So it's certain notes don't work. D and C work. So that's learning the hard way. You play the wrong notes, it's going to sound bad. Here's a patch by the Glitch Mob. This is using FM mod. Yeah, the Glitch Mob, they made, I believe, 5 patches in this. It's pretty cool. Here's a pad that I created. So here's Tunnel of Doom by Airwave. All sorts of weird stuff going on. So here's Goodbye Alpha 359. cool retro analog kind of sound. Here is Knifonium Trumpets. In Unify, we have made a Knifonium library. We've also made a library of Obsession, which is another new synth that just came out. You can get all 420 patches of that. If we go to the brass, there's some really cool brass. I could take, where's the, like right here, gold fringe. Check this out. Right click, say load. Here is Snappy Brassy. This is using the pitchy G's to get nice and... Special effect type sounds. Here is a distant war horn. Right? Meet her with a Knif. Right? So there's a lot of cool stuff to work with. It's a lot of fun. Okay? So check it out. There's a demo to try. You can buy it if you're in the subscription plan. I believe it's there. If you want more information on Knifonium, Plugin Alliance is where you will go to get information to join their subscription plan. This gets you access to all of their plugins if you do the subscription plan. But I believe you can also buy the plugin as a separate purchase there as well. Good stuff. So download the demo, try it out. Lots of fun. Now, in closing, I want to just show briefly what we've done with Unify. We have a Knifonium library. And what's fun with this is because of our ability to seamlessly load patches, you can build up composite patches. Let's go up here and say, let's add Hydrolux. Down here and find some cool little art thing. So you can seamlessly load patches. Put the patches together. There's key range and velocity range. So like I said, there's 15 patches that are bonus patches. These Z patches at the end of the list are things like right? So this is made up from right? So this is one that's kind of fun. This is like the libraries that I've done for Omnisphere, where low C plays a groove. So there's all sorts of fun things in these patches. Plucking Heaven, you gotta have a little plucky. So this whole library is included for free in the Knifonium Unified library. It's free to download. You need to own Unify, you need to own Knifonium, And now you have a whole other way to work with all these patches. Okay, so that wraps up our time with Knifonium. Quite a synth. It's really got the vibe of working with hardware. It's a little unpredictable. It has character just oozing everywhere in all the sounds that it creates. Get it at plugin-alliance.com, and we'll see you later, okay? Bye.